Balaki. Where is Balaki at?
My name's Blake.
Do you want to go to war, Balaki? I'm for real. Ron.
Ron is back for another short video, and then that'll be it for me because I've got to hit the road. Okay, we are talking today about a response that an SPTV viewer got from, let me make sure I get the name right. Well, I'll just show you the letter. From Congressperson. All right, let me put everything on Do Not Disturb. All right. From Congressperson Val T. Hoyle of the 4th District of Oregon. Val Hoyle is on the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure and on the Committee on Natural Resources. And an SPTV viewer, Stacy, contacted Congresswoman Hoyle expressing concern about Scientology's tax-exempt status. Now, for any of you who may not already be familiar, we have talked about starting somewhat of a campaign to get every candidate for Congress and every incumbent, congressional incumbent for Congress, to get them on the record. What is your position on holding congressional hearings into Scientology's tax-exempt status? Would you support holding congressional hearings looking into Scientology's tax-exempt status? Now, the wording on this is important because what you're not asking them is, would you support revoking Scientology's tax-exempt status? That's more of a controversial question, and yet that's not the question. You're also not asking them, will you call for hearings? That's asking for a specific commitment, and you're not asking that. You're asking a question that really should be able to be answered. And they should be able to answer with something other than, that's not my job. Okay? Because all you're asking them is, would you support hearings into Scientology's tax-exempt status? In other words, if it came to a vote whether such hearings should be held, would you support the effort? Every seat in Congress is currently up for grabs. All seats rotate every 2 years. And so you've got people who are running for re-election, and you've got everyone who's running as challengers. And there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of candidates for Congress who can be asked this question. And this is something that you SPT viewers can help with, even if you, for everyone who wants to help but live in cities where, for example, there are no Scientology organizations. This is something everyone in the United States, no matter where you live, can help with. Now, I got to tell you, the title of this video is Oregon Congresswoman Responds to Concerns About Scientology's Tax-Exempt Status. Spoiler alert, she didn't actually respond with a response. She responded with a non-response. But I at least wanted to show you an example of how people will squirm out of this, because there are ways to follow up. There are ways to follow up, and there are ways to make the staff in these congressional offices understand this isn't just a one-off. We're going to be coming back to get an actual answer. If the congressperson isn't informed enough to have a position on this issue, we'd be happy to provide the information, provide such information so that the congressperson can inform themselves so that they can respond to their constituents about this very pressing grassroots issue. All right, so let's see here. Let's look at this letter. Val T. Hoyle, March 19th. Dear Stacy, thank you for contacting me, expressing your concerns about the Church of Scientology's tax-exempt status. I appreciate hearing from you. The Internal Revenue Service determines the tax-exempt status of different organizations. Currently, churches and religious organizations, like other charitable organizations, are eligible for tax exemption under Section 501c3 of the Internal Revenue Code. The Church of Scientology was first recognized as a tax-exempt religious organization in 1957, but was stripped of this status in 1967 due to an IRS audit. In fact, the tax exemption was stripped because the IRS determined that L. Ron Hubbard was personally enriching himself from the funds of Scientology. However, in 1993, Scientology regained their tax-exempt status and have held it ever since. By the way, you might be under the impression that the constituent had contacted the Congresswoman asking whether Scientology was tax-exempt. Like, that's how silly this response is. The IRS determines tax exemption, and Scientology is tax exempt. That was not the question that was asked. This is a very lame response. It's one of the reasons I wanted to highlight it. And let me see. I'll get my face out of the way here. Okay. If you have not done so already, I encourage you to direct your concerns about the Church of Scientology's tax-exempt status to the IRS tax-exempt and government entities office. The office responsible for ensuring tax-exempt status is applied fairly and in the public's best interest. You can reach their office at, and then gives the phone number, and then Val T. Hoyle, member of Congress. Guys, do not let your congressperson squirm out of answering this question by giving an evasive response such as this. If you get a response such as this, please follow up and say something to the effect of, we understand that the IRS is the one that grants tax exemption. We understand that Scientology had its tax exempt status revoked in 1967 because L. Ron Hubbard was personally enriching himself from Scientology funds. It's called inurement. And we also understand that in 1993, part of the reason the IRS gave Scientology its tax exempt status is because Scientology engaged in almost literal warfare against not only the IRS, but thousands of its individual agents, and personally sued hundreds, if not thousands, of IRS agents individually. And that the IRS basically capitulated to the legal pressures and threats from Scientology. And we understand that was part of the process. However, Congressperson, that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking whether you, as my elected representative, would support congressional hearings looking into Scientology's tax-exempt status, possibly even including looking into the possibly illegal means that Scientology employed to bring the IRS to its knees in 1993. That's what we're trying to get everyone on the record for. And for every sitting congressperson who will weasel their way out of answering this question, I promise you there is a challenger who will be willing to go on the record. So don't only target the people who are currently in office. Try to get a response to this question from people who are candidates for the seats. Every seat in Congress is up for election right now. It's March. The elections occur in November. We have a lot of time to work on this. And I have a lot of emails from many of you who have reached out to your congresspersons, congressmen and women, and receive responses. And as I can, as time allows, I'm going to go through and I'm going to do videos about all of them. And any of you anyone out there who wants to try to keep track, keep a spreadsheet of every congressional district that I do a video on, please do. It would be really nice to get responses to this question on this issue from every congressional district in the United States. And hey, it gives us something to do. And how cool would it be if we could show that, I don't know, 10%, 15%, 20% of the congressional districts the representatives from these districts would support hearings, holding hearings into Scientology's tax-exempt status. It's a pretty low bar. Now, guys, as a part of the educational process for your congressional representatives, as a part of going back and forth on maybe following up on mealy-mouthed responses from your elected representatives, perhaps take the opportunity to inform them that there are less than 25,000 Scientologists in the entire world. There's possibly less than about 15,000 Scientologists in the United States. In any given city, major city where there's an actual Scientology organization, there's not more than 200 Scientologists. In any state, in most states, you don't have more than a few hundred Scientologists. Why should these congressional representatives be so afraid to take a uncontroversial, I would even go so far as to say popular position, such as I would support holding congressional hearings into Scientology's tax-exempt status? If they're afraid to say it, they possibly have some idea that Scientology is much bigger, much more influential than it really is. And this would just be a great opportunity to educate them as to the true information. All right, guys. Short, simple, and sweet. Just how we like it. Dave Owens says, woo-hoo. Thank you, Dave. Miss Kim says, we lost KK, a freelance adventurer in Austin. Okay. We lost KK, an Austin protester today. A car hit 3 bikes while on a trip on her motorcycle. We are heartbroken. Ask Pearl Snappy. That's terrible, Miss Kim. That is horrible news. And I guess thank you for letting me know, but that's horrible news. And I feel terrible about that. I did not know. Thank you for letting me know. Marina, Aaron, IRS protest next week in Los Angeles. Please help spread the word. Well, Marina, I don't know anything about it or what it is, but consider the word spread. Thank you very much. Matt Elliott, MAA, SPTV Canada, new member of the channel. Thank you, Matt Elliott. Welcome, welcome as a new member. All right, guys, that is it for me today. Much more to come tomorrow and the rest of the week. Hit that notification bell. YouTube doesn't send out notifications anymore, guys. I don't know what's going on. Hit the bell anyway. Hit that like button. Check that subscribe button. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right here. Bye.